Hello, guys. Can you hear me okay? Okay, good.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone hear me okay?
Hear you, Annie.
All right, good, thank you. Yeah, the switching back and forth on computers is quite tricky.
Yeah, and Apple is so smart. Sometimes it'll hop to my phone or to my iPad, right? And then I lose the
know.
connection. I like Apple, but it's sometimes too smart for its own good.
Yeah, I know. I have found that too, because I have I've got a Apple computer, and I used to have this one plus that one, and I just don't do it because it thinks so different, you know?
Yeah.
All righty. So I was just looking at this. Holy cow, the notes we approved today. I think that is 5 meetings. 5 meetings in like a month. Right? Holy cow. We have worked very hard. Yeah, I was just in fact thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 5 meetings in almost that many weeks. Wow. All right, let me get all my stuff together here. Hello, everybody. Gosh, I guess we are. Yes, holy cow. All right, let's wait to see. 1, 2, 3. I think we've got a couple coming. Let me see. This one down here. Hey, Paula. Let's see. I think we just have Cody.
Hello.
Hi, how are you, Jennifer?
Good. I was confused. I thought the meeting started at 5:15.
Oh, yeah, no, workshop's always 5 to 6. And then,
Is it? Oh, I thought it
well,
okay.
it's because we've had so many meetings. Jennifer, I was just we have 4 minutes to approve, 4 separate minutes since our last meeting to approve. That's why we keep 6 o'clock, 5:30.
That's probably, yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's been a long time since a regular meeting because we had 3 special meetings in 10 days.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Unbelievable, right? Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it is 5:02, so we'll start, if you will. And I'm sure Cody will. Oh, see, Cody's always here, right on time. All right. Hi, Cody. All right. Well, we are going to check in. I think everyone here is here for workshop. The workshop agenda I sent out, finally, I forgot the last month, but this month, we are going to start with John because we had the contract talk, and I know, John, you had we finally had results in from surveys and decided upon a contract, or the staff had a favorite, and so if you want to start there, and then I'm going to release it over to Rob.
Yeah, this shouldn't take too long at all because the survey results came back. I'm just going to read them. They were 3 different sections and then a total. So 94% of teachers, 90% of the hourly staff, and 100% of the admin. So a combined total of 93% of all staff voted to keep the current contract and not move to the new one. So I don't know if there's much discussion on this. So
yeah. Well, and was the actual contracts in the, I didn't see it in the packet, or did it get sent? Just so we can refresh our memory what that was. Because we,
yeah, I didn't include them in this packet because they were in last month's packet.
All right, definitely. All right, well, last month seems like a year ago.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. All right, well, then we are going to tackle this next portion, which came from the professional development plan.
Oh, just really quick before we get to that second part. They voted not to keep the new contract link. They voted to keep it this year.
Right.
Yeah.
So that new language is
Right.
going to take a few months to work out. So it's this year as like a stopgap, just because the other one wasn't what the board had actually asked for. And then, yeah, so just as a clarification that it's like for this year, but not that the item itself is a done issue. As that from your email, John, I was like when you sent us the results, the staff, you had mentioned that they would like just that it was for this year.
Right. Just for this year. That's correct.
Well, you mean the 2020 for next year?
For the upcoming, the upcoming contract. Yes.
21, 22, right?
That would be correct. The 21,
When
22
hopefully,
contract.
yeah, when COVID's in our rear view mirror, that's what we're hoping, right? All right. Excellent. All right. Well, Rob, you have the stage. If you would like to kind of guide us through this, this process that we'll be getting into, and you know, it's a lot lengthier document. That's why I wanted to make sure to get time in workshop. So if you'd guide us through, and I think that's found on page, let's take a look, and was developed right from the professional development plan.
Right, page 91.
Thank you. All right, so yes, please. And should we raise hand if we have questions, or do you want us to interrupt? How would you like to run this?
Yeah, I hope we don't have to go through all of these items line by line, just that, you know, things that people are wondering about. I guess the process that I just want everybody to be clear on, and I need to get clear on this and what the dates are as well. So we just need to discuss this. So first of all, we have to approve this document. And for the most part, it's the same as last year with added pieces in based on new information or goals that we wanted to refine and improve. And so we'll go through that. Then we need to talk about how you want to receive it. I believe Lisa said last year it was Google somehow, and you guys typed in, but it was each of you individual, so that I created it, or Lisa created at that point. So I would create an individual one for each person, and then you type your comments in, and it's only shared between you and me for each of them, and I compile them. That's one way to do it. I don't know if anybody has any other suggestions. It's probably as easy. Do you have comments on what you guys did last year?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, because we weren't, Jennifer, Rob, and I weren't on board last year for this. You remember the process?
I think that, yeah, we each had our own little template, and then like as we went through the meeting and John addressed certain issues, you know, we could kind of take notes and give our scores, or, you know, flag it for later if we need to mull things over.
Oh, I need to hear more about that. What do you mean, John commenting? John's going to go through this with us one more time? I thought after this meeting, we're just filling it out based on all previous information for the year.
Well, like the comments John has made.
Oh, has made, right. But we're not going to go through it again and John comment on each of the areas again, are we? Okay, I didn't think so, but I just wanted to make sure.
Last year, both the meeting and kind of our note taking was all in one meeting, not separated out like it is this time.
Okay. All right. So, right. So the process is I will share. So page 91 and on, it's a 20 whatever page document as is. Let's see, 21 page. And so I will share a copy with each of you, and then you will go through and give a score for each goal. And provide any comments that you want, and then I will aggregate all of that into a form. And so is that clear to everybody, especially those of us that are new? So we start with the general goals, and then the first one is meet all elements of the director's job description. Does everybody have access to the job description that needs it? I mean, is that, I'm in so many committees, I don't know where I have them, right? So in the personnel committee, I have access. Do you guys all have access to the job description?
I think I do, but it would be helpful if that was sent with this.
Okay.
And Rob, did you have a date that you're gonna get this out?
We need to decide on that. That's
Oh,
one
I
of the
see.
things
Okay.
that
Okay.
we need to decide is when will I have it out, and it depends on how much I have to do to it.
Yeah.
right? It's not too hard to send it out if we don't have to do anything with it, or if it's fine in its form. So, all right. So I do need to know, to be able to decide on dates, if we go any further. So I have March 23rd at 5:30. Is that the meeting where we're discussing this? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so how many days before that does the board wish to have the aggregated results? You know what I mean? So you see what I'm doing? I'm building from the end backwards
Yes.
to set the due dates. So how many days do you guys want, or did you have last year, to see the aggregated results before we have that meeting on the 23rd? Do you guys recall last year? Keeping in mind it's 3/16, so it's only 7 days, this whole total process,
Right.
which I'm not
Trying
sure
to
is
remember,
long
but I
enough.
don't know that we saw the aggregated results before that meeting.
Okay,
I think if we could do it 2 days ahead, Rob, I mean, that would be, for me, that would be enough. I don't know about everyone else.
okay.
Same. I think that's good.
If it was available Sunday by noon, I'd have time to look at it by Tuesday.
Okay, I mean, that our meeting's gonna go much better on the 23rd if you've looked at it ahead of time,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. Yes.
Okay, so if you get it back to me by March, okay, so if I send it out March 21st noon, send results. All right, so let's assume that Annie doesn't keep us till 10 p.m. tonight. And
That's why we're doing this in workshop, Rob.
I could try to get this out tonight to everybody. Can everybody have it done by Friday?
Yes.
Friday at midnight? That's, my students always like till midnight, and yet things trickle in at 2 a.m., which is outlandish to me. But okay, so obviously I'm not going to do anything with it at midnight Friday, so you can do it anytime a.m. But Saturday morning I will aggregate things between Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Okay, so if it comes in at 4 a.m., I'm fine with that. All right, and so this was Sunday, and so Friday, March 19, midnight or thereafter, it's due to me. All right, and I will do my best to get it out tonight.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Rob.
That, I know, that's amazing. I knew a math, when you actually first offered to do this, I'm like, or at least to the aggregate, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, and then it grew to this. I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Aggregation is my thing, but the rest, I don't know. Anyway.
Give an
okay.
inch, take a mile.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, folks, let's go back to the document then. Sorry, I've got multiple copies open here. So for the first goal, meet all elements of the job or director's job description. I will do my best to find that and attach the link, right? The link should be enough, right? Not downloading the document. Okay, I think that I can, if I can't share it with everybody, I'll figure something out. Okay, and then, so there's multiple goals in each of the goal areas, but you give a score for that goal. So the first goal is meet all elements of the director's job description, superior, proficient, or needs improvement, right? And so again, the goal is that we want John to have 67% or more of us give him a 2 or a 3, right? If 33% or more, right, more than 33% given needs improvement, that's an area of concern. That's where we're headed here. I will figure out both the average and I will count 2 or higher just to give us a little different look at the numbers as they come out. That's the piece that I will enjoy. Okay, any questions as we go through this? Make 1 year progress towards obtaining the administrative license. John, can you just give us an update on that?
Yeah, I sure can. Yeah, I guess at the end of this, I'm going to make sure I'm on mute, not on mute. At the end of this semester, I'll have completed a year, and then I'll be signed up for classes again in the summer. So yeah, a full year being summer classes and fall classes and spring classes will be completed. Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions on that, folks?
What is your current target date to end the program?
So I should have, if all things go well, I'm going to qualify it because of COVID, you never know. But all things go well, it should be completed at the end of this calendar year. So I should have December of 21.
Okay.
And that's what degree, John?
That would be the principal degree. Then I'm just going to and then I'm going to transition right into the superintendent's license.
Okay, so it's an EDS-ish, or does it have letters?
To be honest, I'd have to go back and look at them, what the particular letters for the principal license from Hamlin is.
Okay,
I don't know them off the top of my head, just because.
It's important to me, not to anybody else. I understand. Okay, very good. And then provide leadership specific to meeting the authorized stated goals. Again, stop me anywhere along the line here, folks. Completes project management tasks in a timely fashion that will allow to be approved and implemented effectively. Receive an average of adequate on the final board of directors annual evaluation. I do have a question about that. Is that information from last year that I'm not exactly sure what this one is.
It seems like a duplicate almost, doesn't it? Kind of, because we asked that at the top.
I think from what I understood is the annual evaluation is from the last, so we had mid-year evaluation that was created last year. That wasn't something they had last year. And then the end one, I think is that right, Cody?
Isn't this the annual one? So we're asking a question about his grade on the actual report?
Yeah, the actual community and staff end of year.
Well, this question's about the annual board of directors one, right?
Yeah,
Right.
You know what? I'm gonna grab. I wrote all these notes way back when. It's been forever.
I think this goal is specific towards the document we're scoring now, so that one should probably be removed because we can't really.
Well, no, right, exactly. So that's why I was curious. I just wasn't sure what this one meant.
And then while you're looking, Annie, on the second page of this, page 92 of the board packet, it has to provide leadership specific to meeting the authorizer stated goals for the school year. Does everybody have what those goals are? Like the document of what our SAM goals are, or nowhere?
I know it's somewhere, but it would actually be helpful for me to see it again.
I'm not sure I'm volunteering to find all of these documents, folks.
No, totally not. I mean,
I can look for the SAM goals. I know that they were sent and I know we received them. It just takes a little sleuthing, but I'm sure I can find them. I have the whole
They were
contract.
sent on December 17th of 2020.
Okay.
They were because she came to talk to us.
Because we have the whole contract, so I knew we had gotten the summary, like of the key goals for the year.
Yeah, and those goals were amended this year due to COVID.
Yeah, because that if I remember correctly, that was when we made some alterations to those goals because of some of the testing tied goal items.
Yep. And the ones that Adam referenced should be, the date sounds right, so.
All right, so Annie, did you find anything on page?
No, so this document came from his professional development plan. That's, if you have a hard time finding it, I've written mine up from when this was approved back in June, I believe, before we were seated. But this is just broken up into all those goals in there. So you could see some of them say like April BOD. We can remove whatever we want. It's just important I just had everything in there. So I don't see that on here, what that was in reference to. So we can remove, as long as John's cool with that, whatever we want. Or
Right, John, you don't know what this refers to other than just a copy and paste error. Right? I mean, again, it's not talking about any previous evaluation. This is this evaluation, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's referencing.
Okay.
It sounds like it wants to be an overall one.
Right, which you would put at the end.
well,
I
it's
would
under
assume.
it's under the bracket. So if it says goals, so it's under the same bracket, like general goals. So these got broken up in the same order of the eval.
So I guess the only way I would interpret that is, yes, that is the annual evaluation,
Yeah.
the one that just went out recently, last month or whatever.
To who?
So then would this be
Oh,
something
this
that would
is-
actually
this
then
is
just
actually-
go on the one that after it's all said and done, like the one that you send to all of us that has the numbers and the percentages?
That's
With
what
this-
that is. That's what I have down there. Is that the one you send out? Or I don't know. Yeah.
This says Board of Directors Annual Evaluation.
Which is what this is. This is our final eval board of directors. This is
Right.
what this whole process is.
Right,
I
but we
think this
can't
was copied from
individually.
a,
Go ahead, Cody.
I think this was copied from a goal, except we're doing the goal now.
Yeah.
So it can't go on this form because that is what the form is.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
agreed.
Okay,
So
all right.
So then this one would be something tied to the aggregate. It would just be made clear by the aggregate.
Right.
Yeah.
I may do a little numbering. All right, I have just deleted it from the document. Okay, moving on. Next one, instruction and assessment. Encourage a culture of inclusivity among staff and students. Continue to work towards improving the school's culture and climate such that all staff and students feel welcome, valued, and appreciated.
Okay.
Moving on, enroll in a course that will have a focus to increase the culture of inclusivity at MSA, such as in human relations. John, an update on that, please.
Make sure I'm not on mute. Yeah, HR, that class was done in last fall, if I remember right, completed.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The director and the board chair will conduct a culture and climate survey to the staff in December. These results, including comments, will be presented to the BOD at January meeting to ensure the culture of inclusivity has been established internally.
Yeah, so we did that. That was,
Yep, good. Anybody else? The board will conduct the director evaluation survey in March. So I have a question on that. Why are we evaluating that?
these are from, these are from the community and staff evaluation that went to everyone in February. So now you have those from Dan. Everyone should have gotten those from Dan.
Right.
So that's
But
what why? Because part of the authorizer, I have it here. There's an authorizer form that gets filled out from me to Liz that basically states, a big chunk of it is, did we conduct a professional development plan? And one of them is community and staff input with his professional development assessment at the end of the year. Part of that, because pursuant to this, there's a statute.
Okay. Good. We all
but
clear?
this survey was conducted in February, not March.
Yes, but it's part of our March survey, or it's a part of our March evaluation, which is coming up the 23rd.
Okay.
So that's what this is for.
Right, but the results are what Dan put together for us
Yes.
of this one. right?
Yes.
So we're all
yes,
clear.
Yes.
Okay. Then we're on to human resources and personnel management, right?
Yep.
Okay. Goal, increased vetting of potential new hires to avoid extenuating or extending employment offers to candidates with past histories that do not mesh with MSA values.
And if I remember correctly, and John, I could be thoroughly confused here. This was the one where it was like which background check we were going to be doing for new, you know, I mean, there was like one that was a little bit more detailed of a background check, if I remember correctly.
Well, it was a background check that was cheaper than the ones that we currently use. However, the ones that we currently use is from the Minnesota BCA, which is the recommended one that is to be used. So the enhancement that we did with that is we've included a digital background check, we'll put it that way, of online presence digital.
Was it prior to that, John, just a Google search? Is that how you did that before?
No, before before we never did a Google search because we were recommended not to do that.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So
you
why
do the
was this added
BCA.
as a goal? Because we wanted to add, right? That's what it is, John?
Yeah.
Yeah. We wanted to basically add that digital research or check to see if we could find anything online.
Okay. Everybody good?
Yep.
Well, but this wasn't a goal that we had right now, right? That's a past goal. So would it come off or?
No, this is from his professional development plan that was approved for 2020-2021 school year. This was approved in June. So this was part of his professional development goals this year, was to include this extra. It wasn't done in a year prior, but it was done this year because, you see what I'm saying? I know everything's like a year behind for the following, that's the problem is like we work for an approval and then we work through this document that was approved last year, but it's for this year. It's weird.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to school.
All right. So, I'm going to want to rely a little bit more on those of you from last year, to help us with some of these, why these are here, because I'm going to have to vote on some of these things. And, as Jennifer just brought up, it's really difficult to know why some of these were on there. So
I love that we're going through this. It's a really good idea.
Okay. All right. So the next one, director shall, in conjunction with personnel committee, finalize the creation of a performance evaluation system. We seem to be working towards that, but that's a slow going process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of reliance on the committee, and I don't know. I think it's more, that's the part of the problem is it's committee driven rather than handing over a process to a committee to review.
Anybody else? All right, increase director and BOD training on hiring, vetting, and employee matters. Did we get some training on that in the last year?
I don't know if we count the contract information, but I guess it's part of hiring or maintaining.
Well, yeah. Although our contracts were signed last year for this year.
We had Eugene came right on the contracts, and then we had the Sam Sam contract, if you will, brought in with Liz. Those are the two that come to mind for me.
Thank you, Ben. Ready to move on, folks? All right, all employees must be held to high standards. The director shall execute appropriate performance evaluation systems that are in place, assure school staff are evaluated annually, and complete required evaluations. How's the evaluations going, John?
So all the staff evaluations, we are not completely 100% done. There's a handful left that are to be done. A lot of those are a document review for special ed students. I believe there's 1 or 2 teachers that are left to be evaluated. Other than that, all of those evaluations are done. The admin staff evaluations don't occur yet. Those will occur in April.
Okay.
Hey, John, did you say there was an evaluation process for them or for assistant directors and counselors and all of that? I know we've asked that in personnel, but I'm not sure I heard the answer.
Yeah, and those were the documents, that is shared with the committee. And, the whole process of getting that, I guess, an outside look at it and input on it, we're still in the process of doing that.
So that's what
that process will be implemented for next year. It won't be for this year for obvious reasons.
And contracts get signed with those in when, March or April? I mean, you're supposed to have them set for contract signing, right? So everyone knows the eval process, or is that right?
Yeah, don't quote me on the date, but in April, that's when, towards the end of April, that's when contracts go out. First, we have to have the approved budget before we can go through all the contracts, but that's typically by the end of April. Those staff members not coming back or not being renewed are already notified, and everybody else that's coming back will be notified that they will be having a contract. Excuse me. It's then it's a matter of getting them signed and uploaded to the, to the HR system for next year.
What is that? Do we have an HR system? Who's our HR?
Yeah, that's me. That's me,
Or
and
us,
then
as
Ken.
we go through this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's our big HR department.
All right, let's move on. The director shall ensure necessary development plans are in place and that evaluations are consistent. If an employee does not improve, there are consequences to their employment.
Yeah, we do have a couple of staff members that are on improvement plans, and they're working through them.
Good. Or, well, right, that there's a process. Good.
Right, yes, yeah.
All right, ensure that the assistant director's goals are completed in a timely fashion. And so that is, right, that's our work in progress.
Yep.
Well, and I think a lot of us have been with the board on this too. So we know kind of these we have our own data points, right? So some of these are data points that we, as a staff, as a teacher, I would have more privy to an answer versus a community member or you guys, because you're not at school, versus as a board. This is also your experiences also throughout this whole document. If you don't have an experience, I like, John's answering to it. If you do, then, it's the whole package.
Yeah, and again, this is, each individual's, what you've heard and seen throughout all of our meetings, right?
That's part of this, what you've heard, what you've seen, what you've experienced. I like John's giving his take too, so we can incorporate that.
All right, we're at the top of page 99, correct?
Actually, can I ask one question?
Yep.
John, do you know if the tier 1 and tier 2 program implementation and support details would be in past board minutes? I wouldn't know anything about that.
No, they probably, unless it was specifically identified in their monthly update, it probably won't be in there. And however, well, I know they do reference the student support system, which is really the tier 1 and tier 2 program. It's kind of been relabeled or repackaged. So that whole program is not really referred to as tier 1 or tier 2 anymore. It's more the student support process.
Do you think that should just be changed in here, John?
Well, or put some kind of a parenthesis, student support process or student support in that. So when I'm assuming you're going to go through, you know, on those particular items, go through previous directors' reports for those particular individuals and look for those things in their reports. I'm assuming that's how you do it. I don't know, you know, if you have some other mechanism that you're going to do that.
Right. You said student support what system, or what'd you say?
It's student support, and then there's student support meetings and student support services. So basically anything with student support.
I like student support services. I mean, I think that encompasses it.
Yeah.
Just to put a note in here.
I think we should leave still the tier 1 and tier 2 because that's part of those.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to put a student support services with an asterisk and then put an asterisk on all 3 of them. Does that sound good?
I have one more question then, which is the staff handbook. I've been on the staff handbook team before, and the assistant directors really aren't involved. It's more John. And so I just didn't know if, and it also hasn't happened this year yet. And so I just want to mention that.
Yeah, that staff handbook won't be, I mean, that's the hard part. That isn't due until, well, this evaluation will be completely done before that even comes up to the board. So I don't know how you want to address that.
Didn't we need the staff didn't we get it this year? I mean, like,
yeah. That, you know, that's the staff handbook is part of your contract. It's a legal document. So yeah, you already have the staff handbook. So I don't know if that's, you know, is this referring to the previous staff handbook? I guess you have to remember it that way. So I don't know if you want to put a parentheses 2021.
Well,
so people, you remember that?
I mean, to me, this was all what happened in the last year, right? Not what's going to happen. And so did the staff handbook, did the activities handbook, did the coaches handbook, did our school integration, did all in the last year, did that all happen on time?
Right.
That's what we're at.
That's right.
Right. Okay, anything else? Gina? Holding us back. No, I'm just kidding. All right, moving on. Goal, establish and evaluate assistant director job performance based on project management, which includes timeliness and accuracy. That's what we're working on in, correct? In the, what do you call it? Why can't I say it now, Annie?
The personnel committee?
Personnel committee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? That is what my understanding, right? We're taking their and reworking all that.
Right. This was approved in June and now it's right. And the committee's been doing the work. But again, if this was a goal, then, you know, you would think it would be just something for us to approve rather than, I mean, the personnel committee has to do John's evaluation by law. We have to create his evaluation. The personnel committee does not have to commit to all the others, but we've been doing it as a committee rather than just getting it to us to vet out any questions. So it's been moving kind of slow. That's just been my experience on the committee.
Yep. But I believe, I haven't looked yet, but Shannon got back to us and said that they did do some integration work from our request from last time. Did anybody check that yet?
Yeah, they did they didn't do any of the eval process. They just did the job description. They finished both job descriptions, but we haven't decided competencies yet, how that was going to play out.
Okay, Next one, assistant director should work on relationship building, having a clear presence through their building and actively engaging with staff and students. Hopefully this is happening through Zoom and some of those kinds of things. Again, everybody will have to make their decisions on that. The director will mentor and provide educational opportunities for the ADs so they can grow.
Yep.
The director will provide leadership by ensuring that all decisions, either at the school level or building level, align with the school's mission, vision, and values. Okay, so this is back to the director. The assistant directors follow the evaluation procedures consistently. Right, so this was something we were hoping to see. Issues between staff or between staff and parent community members followed the procedures detailed in the staff handbook. Practice some version of closed loop communication in order to avoid misunderstanding of message during communication, parents and staff.
I have a question. What does closed loop mean?
From my understanding is that a situation comes up or a question, then it gets, the closed loop is it gets completely answered. It gets all the way through the process of question, detailed answer, back to that person it was handled or not handled, you know, it's the whole, that it was completely handled.
Thank you.
Is that right, John? Is that how you read it?
Yeah, it's basically the closure. So you have whatever that communication was, and that there's some closure to it.
Very good. When decisions, procedures, school practices are changed, the rationale for the change is communicated to the original group and people before being brought to the staff as a whole. And then the update should be brought to the BOD. If mistakes are made, responsibility is taken, error is addressed. To build trust, follow MDE requirements for teacher licensure, hiring, OFP. What's OFP?
Out of field permission. This was part of our eval that ended up on here too. All
right, so I'm going to say OFP. Out of field.
How many out of field permissions do we have out there again? Could you tell me how many teachers are with those? I know you addressed one, but how many total?
I remember it, there's 3.
Yeah.
And we have two that are in tier 2, but they don't need OLP. So this is an addition to the original goals that were approved last June.
These are part of the.
This was not an approved goal back in June.
No, but it was for the 127, the 125 to 21 eval, the mid-year eval. That was part of that part.
Right. Yeah, that was that's what I'm just saying. It was an addition to what the original document was.
Correct.
Thank you. All right. Based on a previous situation that we had discussed, that you addressed at the.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Are we ready to move on? How are we doing here? Is this what we want to do, folks?
Yeah, no, definitely. So that we're clear when we get this document.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Financial management. Goal, develop guidelines with the BOD and AFC for an overall fundraising plan, as well as report overall fundraising progress to the BOD during June 21 meeting. So obviously we can't decide on the end,
correct,
but again, it's the progress up till now, right? We just have to read it that way.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody make sense, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously he can't complete what's supposed to be done in June, but is that process happening up till now?
Correct.
Okay. Participate in educational opportunities to address financial needs of the school. For example, bonds, the bonding process, and grant writing. We've heard quite a bit about some of those pieces. Have there been any grants?
Yeah, we've had. Well, Cody had a grant, and then there was a grant. Think if correctly or wrong, if I'm wrong, Cody, I think the one grant was $2,000 from,
The grant I took care of was $2,000, and I do not remember the dollar amount for the other grant.
yeah, it was $10,000. It was from Pharma.
Gotcha.
Now, when it says grant writing, does that mean that we learn how to grant write, or is grant writing different than actual getting a grant? Like, I'm not sure what grant writing means.
Grant writing is like applying for the grants.
Okay, so it's the process of, educational opportunities to address how to write a grant. So that grant writing, John, was that you that got that other one?
Yeah, that $10,000 one from Pharma, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's I think 90% the application process, and then 10% is kind of, you have to follow up. You have to say, okay, you gave us this money for this purpose. This is how we used it.
All right, identify ways to address the fundraiser gap. Actively participate in lobbying efforts to reform charter finance law.
Yeah.
Dan, was that part of what you guys did?
Yeah, we had, and Cody and myself and John, we had a couple sessions, and I thought that was really good. So I was learning for me, but also, I mean, unfortunately for us, John, I think you'd agree, they were already in our choir, if you will, right? We were preaching to the choir in this case, but still, it was nice to get the voice out and MSA's, thoughts and feelings out too. So I think I'm glad we did that. We can do more of that, and maybe we need to pick and choose some other folks that are antagonists to our position, perhaps. Yeah, would be my only thing.
Well, the other part of that is, as part of the MAX policy committee, there's a lot of contacting legislators of upcoming legislation that's done. So a lot of that stuff, I guess, I don't put that in the report, I just do it. So if you go back into the director's reports, it'll probably just appear as a MAX government policy committee meeting, something to that effect.
Thank you for the three of you doing that, by the way. All right, next goal, updating existing 5-year facilities plan with the relevant new anticipated capital expenditures and present the progress to the BOD April 2021. Do you feel you're in position to do that?
Yeah, we've got, well, it's a 5-year plan, so it's a continuation of that 5-year plan.
And I think, didn't you do that? Didn't you give this to us last month or something? I thought you did the 5-year already. I mean, you were ahead of that, but I can't remember. But anyway, yeah. So you'll revisit this for next month then.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different pieces to the 5-year plan, but this one is specifically to facilities, as in what do we want to do with building A or the parking lot, or basically upkeep of that nature.
All right, collaborating with expansion committee to revise the proposed timeline for an expansion at the end of the school year.
Now, I'm just going to put a real plug in here for everybody. We do have another meeting on the 18th. I know everybody's busy, but at 4:30 we'll have 2 more vendors coming in to present. So you're more than welcome to join us.
All right.
And I know, Dan, you sent out that information today also, the larger information of what happened last time.
Yeah, and I would just say, I went back and forth as to whether to include it in the board packet or not. I know, Annie, I tease you, I'm always trying to see if we can't get it smaller, and I couldn't see myself throwing another 50 pages or whatever it was onto it. So I didn't do it that way. But I did actually think, if I'm sitting in your guys' shoes, you'd like to see these PowerPoints. And if I didn't do it this way, you wouldn't see them probably if I just had it in a link and a note and a link. So I did email them out separately. You guys let me know if we should do that differently in the future. But so there are some nicely prepared presentations on the expansion committee. I won't bore you with all the details, but anyways, yeah, take a look at that if you get a chance.
Good. All right, 3 more minutes. Let's see how far we can get. Legal compliance and management. work with appropriate staff to address any deficiencies under the special education and the section 504 plans to ensure school-wide compliance. All right, effective communication. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had that video that didn't John, you got that
Mike
video?
Bessano, yeah.
That was a very good recap of that. So yeah.
All right, effective communication, monitor the chain of communications is consistently followed by the administration and with follow-up with, will follow up with identified inconsistencies in this practice, resolve issues that may arise. All right, next goal, directors should work towards building trust with staff and teachers by being more visible in each building during the school day in order to develop stronger interpersonal relationships. Obviously tough one this year. The director will make publicly available a planned schedule of when his office hours are. Note, in the event of an extended distance learning, the director will develop and implement a plan to increase his presence within the educational environment, for example, regular Zoom open office hours and the like. All right, moving on to the board authorizer and community relationships. Attend at least one professional development opportunity in general management that cover either team building or conflict management. Attend at least one professional development that covers either diversity or sensitivity. John, can you report on those? Conflict and...
Well, oh, I'm sorry, Rob. I didn't hear the last part of what you said.
Yeah, no, so there's the two, the one on either team building or conflict management, and then the one on diversity or sensitivity.
So they actually attended and I don't remember the dates. You'd have to go back and look at my director's minutes. I did attend a conference on diversity and culture competency. The other part of that, a number of these were addressed or discussed and covered during the principalship course, which I am currently in the human resource course that was at Hamlin. So a number of those items were incorporated into the coursework as well.
Good. All right, I think we should just break here because I want to give us a full 10 minutes and then there's just a couple more and I wanted to ask a question about one of them from John. So let's just break, Annie, if that's okay.
Well, yeah, you know, we usually end at 6 and then start at 6:15 with our.
Oh, I thought it was 5:50 and see that's, Jennifer, see that's where
well, we've been a mess. How many? 5 board meetings? How many?
Okay, then we'll be able to finish this fine.
Yeah.
All right, so then the next one was attend at least 3 max regional directors meetings. John, how did those work during COVID?
So they were actually pulled back on, I don't know if they did as many regional, but they did weekly. I mean, I missed today's just because we had staff training, but those are typically held 9:30 to 11 every week. So I'm on those every week. So the regional ones, they only, I want to say they had maybe 1 or 2, but I attended both of those. And those were all non-COVID related.
And did you ever do this before this? I mean, was this
this is,
you've been doing this for a while. Okay, just curious.
Yeah, the regional directors meetings are something that Max has always had, but the weekly ones is something they started this year. And because of all the directors said, this is a good thing, we need this, they agreed to do it every week.
All right, next one is on PTO and question and answer with director. How is those relationships going with the PTA or PTO?
Yeah, so well, I've attended all of them except for one when we had a conflict because of a board meeting. So obviously I attended the board meeting, not their meeting.
Okay.
And did you have the Q&A with the director?
Yes, yep. That's a standing item.
Establishing and maintaining relationships and networking with neighboring school districts to foster collaboration, build community relationships. Any comments on that?
Well, other than what I already put in all the director's notes before, I mean,
That's fine. I just,
we you know, the weekly, you know, the weekly max meetings are, I mean, I'm conversing with over 90 different charter schools. So I'm, you know, I guess, yeah, I talk with, and I usually, I'm not one of those that sit back. I usually put in comments and questions, so I'm interacting with them. So yeah. But,
all right, very good. So just to clear up everything for us, so then we will go into, so then the final thing is the summary evaluation. And so just help me out as we go. So I will be sending, I will clean up this document, try to organize it as best we can, create an individual copy for each of you that you will share back with me. I will try to get that to you tonight. I need it back with your scores for each of the goals and any comments that you want to add by Friday night, March 19th at midnight or 4 a.m. And then Sunday by noon, I will send you out the results. Again, I will give both the average as well as the number of 2 or higher. So you'll have 2 different looks at that. And depending on how excited I get about this, I might do some graphics, but we'll see. And then our meeting is March 23rd at 5:30. And is that a closed or an open?
That's a closed meeting.
That's a closed meeting. And so we will fill this summary evaluation out together at that time.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll probably ask, you know, Dan and I usually go deliver that, but I also, Rob, if you could make, you know, it's usually a Zoom at this time. I'd love to have you present since you put this together and have the 2 of you and myself will present to John at the end of that. We'll get a time.
Yep. John, you were going to say something?
I was just going back to that page 3 where we had that, the goal, receive an average of adequate on the final board of directors annual evaluation. I believe that's the section that probably should go at the very end on page 21, because that's when you kind of wrap everything together. But I could be wrong. But to me, that makes sense to go at that point, at that position.
But that's not something we can give you a score on based on until we see it, right? That's not an individual thing, right?
Right, it's not a goal. No,
but
right. Yes.
Nope, I totally get it. You're right. Okay, folks. Thank you.
Yeah, right on time. Fantastic. All right, let's take a break and 6:15 come in for regular session. Have a great one. We're getting there. Just give it another minute or so. We'll start our meeting. All right, we'll give another minute for Rob to get back.
Sorry, I was here. I just forgot I wasn't.
Yes. All right, we are here as an assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and call to order our meeting. And I'm just wondering if Paula would be so kind as to read our mission and vision, please.
Our mission, we provide accelerated curricula in all subjects with an emphasis on math and science. Our vision is to be an innovative, sustainable model of academic excellence that creates well-rounded, lifelong learners and global citizens.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take attendance by going through roll call with names. Dan Ellingston.
Here.
Cody Schneid.
Here.
Michelle Kurkowski.
Here.
Ina Albers.
Here.
Adam Bartz.
Here.
Rob Kruger.
Here.
Jennifer Bartle.
Here.
Maggie Burgraff.
Here.
Annie Cardenas. Here. Paulo Capo.
Here.
Jenny Abbs is not here. And John Gorecki. He's here. Can you hear, John?
I can now. I feel like this is my first day on the job.
All right, there you go. Great, everybody is here. Jenny Abbs is absent. So I'd like to go ahead and motion to approve the agenda, item 3. Do I have a second?
This is Adam. I will second.
Thank you. Is there any
Okay.
discussion on the agenda? All right, I'm going to go ahead and roll call yes. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes. Sorry, lost the button.
that's all right. Michelle Kurkowski,
Yes.
Ina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. All yeses, motion carries. Okay, and there's no conflict or interest statement. Open forum letter. I have 2 open forum letters to read. Dear Board of Directors, I want to take a minute to publicly thank the teachers at MSA. I know many of them found time during spring break this past week to begin preparing for the return of our students and were on campus. I hope and pray that they were able to disconnect and recharge during the long overdue and much needed break. Your dedication and commitment is what has and continues to make MSA an amazing community to learn and belong to as parent and for our students. I also want to thank Joelle. Never once did an email go unanswered by myself or other MSA parents, or did we receive an out of office alert. She always responded in an efficient and welcoming way. My family and I thank you and applaud you for all your efforts. I am writing you tonight out of concerns of communication or lack thereof and ineffective communication. One of the main themes I heard last summer during the marathon board of director meetings regarding the director's evaluation was increasing the effectiveness of communication and increasing the communication between all stakeholders, including neighboring school districts, administrators such as 833, 834, and 622. At the February Board of Director meetings and subsequent special meetings, we saw 2 examples that this is not happening and in the board packets of reports. Yes, some of us out here in parent land do try to find time to read the board packet. We will hear from the middle school counselor on how challenging that it has been in scheduling testing due to the constant changes. However, schools in the area have been monitoring and taking of this since last fall, and emails were sent to schools from MDE on February 10th. So it is surprising to me that the board was told on February 26th that this was a recent alert that MCAs needed to be in person, and it saddens me that a staff member had found it challenging to schedule, and this had been on the horizon for months and confirmed since February 10th. Also, at the February board meeting, transportation for returning to school was discussed and when it could happen and how long it would take for it to get put into place. However, had the communication directive from last summer been adhered to, this would have been clear at the time rather than being corrected in special meetings at the end of the month. Finally, I realized that I am different from many parents in watching meetings and interacting with the board through emails and forums. It was gravely disheartening to me to watch on Saturday morning, March 6th, as parents went to MSA Facebook page and began to ask questions about the spring reopening plan. A staff member graciously responded with information. However, it took until 11:47, I don't know if that's AM or PM, for an email to come out from the administration regarding the board's decision to begin school in person on April 5th and to hold MCAs on campus the week preceding that, plus having transition days this week, essentially giving the kids a 2-week spring break. How does a family plan for that? If they choose to unplug and get out of town for a break, similarly, an email went out to all students, not just from returning to in-person instruction, that signups for on-campus tours went out on March 9th in the middle of spring break week. With the email from Mr. G and from Mr. Johnson should have gone out to families on March 5th, the last day of school before spring break, or shouldn't it have, I'm sorry. For the families that chose to unplug, whether near or far, I applaud you. Also, I am sorry that our administration felt it necessary to interrupt your time. I hope you'll be able to find time to get your student onto campus at a time that works for your family. It is time to figure out how to remove barriers so that families can get the information they need in an effective and timely manner, students receive the support they need, and staff can decrease the stress of miscommunication at a constant change of information. Mary Yap. This is from parent Mary Yap. All right, this is the final one. Dear MSA Board of Directors, I am writing this evening to ask the Board of Directors to address an issue regarding the funds raised by graduating class of 2020 for their senior celebration that will take place this summer. Recently, parents of the seniors who graduated last year have been gathering to plan a senior party that did not take place last summer because of COVID restrictions. During the planning, parents discovered that MSA administration took almost $700 from the senior account to pay for certain graduation expenses incurred last year. Normally, seniors would raise money through the senior year for their senior lock-in that occurs during the evening of graduation ceremonies. As is the tradition, last year seniors hosted Fright Night for the school's Halloween dance in the fall of 2019. The proceeds were raised by the seniors for the specific purpose of paying for their own senior lock-in. The senior class of 2020 raised approximately $1,300 at Fright Night. Adding that amount to a previous balance of $400 or so, their account totaled $1,760 for the seniors to use for their graduation celebration. As I mentioned, the celebration is now being planned for June of this year. When the parents of the class of 2020 went to verify the amount that was available for the celebration, it was discovered that $630 was taken from this account by MSA administration to cover additional costs of last year's graduation ceremony, which was held at a drive-in graduation at the Cardinals Grove Hero Center. First and foremost, expenses from the graduation ceremony should never have been taken from the senior class money. This money was specifically raised by students for their graduation celebration and should not have been confused and commingled with MSA monies available for general operating expenses. MSA has never required seniors and their families to pay for their own graduation ceremony. The money was raised for specific purpose, not for the MSA operational expenses. In addition, it was made clear in at least 2 board meetings that the funds for the benefit of the senior class of 2020 would continue to be available to them until the summer of 2021, when COVID restrictions would be relaxed enough for students to enjoy the celebration, albeit a year later. I would respectfully request that the MSA board return the money back to the rightful account for the benefit of the graduating class of 2020. Both of my children were members of this graduating class. My children and 58 other students have attended MSA for at least 4 years, and many of them throughout the entire middle school and high school years. These students have represented MSA well. Along with their teachers, they are the foundation of their stellar rankings that MSA have received these past 2 years. Taking $630 from their account to pay for their own graduation after everything they had endured with a chaotic senior year is not the send-off I imagine would happen. I don't want that to be the last thing remembered about MSA. And as for parents who spent hours and hours planning the graduation ceremony with MSA administration, demonstrated so little effort to honor the seniors with the best ceremony possible, this is the ultimate insult. Parents donated many hours organizing the graduation ceremony, building a stage from donated materials, and creating a video of graduating seniors to be shown at the ceremony. The PTO generously donated $600 to make the ceremony happen. The time and materials donated by MSA parents for the video production and construction of the stage was easily in excess of $10,000. And that does not include all of the time spent planning and decorating by parents. This was not a mistake or a misunderstanding. Therefore, I respectfully ask the board return the money to its rightful beneficiaries. Jeff Ng, former MSA board member and the proud parent of 2 MSA graduates. All right, so I don't know what to do because it's the board thing, so I'll be reaching out to get help on that. So thank you very much, both of you. All right, let's go to the second part here, which is the approval of the many minutes demonstrating how darn hard we worked in a 5-week period. All right, so starting from the top, I would like to move to approve February 16th, 2021 minutes. Is there a second?
This is Dan, I can second.
Okay, is there any other further discussion with this? All right, I will roll call. Okay, where's my other thing? These open forum always get me jittery, I don't know why. Oh, anyway. Okay, so approval of, I'll go for approval of the 5A or the February 16, 2021 minutes. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski,
Yes.
Jennifer Albers,
Were you calling for Jennifer or Gina?
Gina Albers. I told you these all make me a mess. Gina Albers,
Yes.
I apologize. Adam Bars,
Yes.
Rob Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. Motion carries, all yeses, no nos. Approval of minutes, 5B, Board of Directors Special Minutes, February 22nd, 2001. I move to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
This is Rob, I second.
All right. Any discussion with those? All right, I will roll call approval. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski,
Yes.
Jennifer Albers,
This is Gina. Yes.
Gina. Why? Okay, I'm going to put a big E. Thank you. Gina Albers. Yes. Adam Bars,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas. Yes. I'm going to get it right next time, Gina. That is all yeses. Motion is approved. 5C, Board of Directors Special Meeting, February 26, 2021. I motion to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
This is Gina. I second.
Any discussion? All right, I'll move into approve those. With a vote, Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bard,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. That's all yeses. Motion carries. 5D, approval of minutes for the Board of Director closed meeting, director evaluation on March 4th, 2021. I move to approve those minutes. Do I have a second?
This is Maggie. I will second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? All right, go ahead and roll call. Approval, Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Barth,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yep.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. Gina's going to make fun of me the rest of the year, I know, over this. Okay. Chair's report. So the recap basically was there is a end of year board evaluation process developed from the professional development plan approved last year. And we went through that document and Rob led us on that. Thank you, Rob. And we now have a nice schedule on how this is to proceed in preparation for our final closed meeting next, or a final closed meeting as far as the board eval on March 23rd, 5:30 next week. So that's my update. Director's report. I don't know if anyone had any questions for John on his director's report, or John, if there's anything else you'd like to add to that report.
Yes, actually there is because the high school counselor was on vacation during spring break. She didn't get all of the documents in. There's three additions I'd like to put. Basically, if you're keeping track, it's page 25 is the end of her information. Oh, I take that back. It's the high school counselors is on page 28. And 3 bullets that you could add if you wanted to. ACT will be implemented on March 30th. The last college planning workshop for the spring will also be on March 30th, and she will be hosting a virtual junior night for students and families on April 6th, and individual junior meetings will be held after that date and will occur through April. Other than that, there were no other additions. So, or I guess if there are any questions.
Any questions, anybody?
I had a question. In the assistant director, it said there were, I think it was 146 ineligible. Let me see if I could get to it. Let's see. Ineligible students.
Page 26.
Okay, 26. 142 students ineligible. What can you explain what that means?
So they run an ineligibility report on students that would be ineligible to participate if they have an F in a class or more. So they go on an ineligibility list and they have to develop a plan so that they can come off of that ineligibility list in order to participate in the activity. For example, a basketball player might have an F in a class, so they would be on the ineligibility list until they met with the teacher that they have the F in and develop or create a plan so that they can get that student up and passing. Once that's done, then that gets reported to the activities director and goes back to the coach so that they would become eligible to play again. If they don't do that plan, then they stay ineligible.
And John, when it says 142 highest number ever, what is a typical number? Like it didn't have a compare and contrast thing.
If I remember right, and don't quote me on this number, but the last time we did it, it was in the 90s.
But I mean, I know we had COVID, but it does seem quite high, right? I mean,
yes, and
I don't.
Percentage-wise, it's a lot higher than normal. That is correct. And I don't recall the date that this particular one was run. So if it may have been, I guess I don't want to speculate until I have the actual date of when that eligibility list was run.
I believe it was run on March 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
And was that just including the start of the new semester, which began in late January?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
So that means, go ahead,
that
John.
means there aren't a lot of assignments in the grade book for some classes.
Right.
So that it could be, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, that if there were only 3 things in the grade book and the student was missing one or did poorly on one, that would affect the student's grade depending on the number of points. But it all depends on the dates when scores were entered into Skyward. And I don't have that on here, so.
I would anticipate the next time that this is run, that those numbers will go down substantially, because to that point, you're going to have more grades in the grade book, because you could have 1 grade, and if you did poorly on it, you know, you got 5 out of 10 for whatever reason, you're failing that class. So you would appear on the report.
So when it lists like how many kids are going to participate in track or badminton, are those just eligible students, or has that not been figured yet?
So the number of students that have signed up would, yes. So those haven't been taken out. They're still part of the team.
Oh, so they're, okay.
They're still
Hoping
part of
they do their plan. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I also want to add the tutor.com stuff. That ineligibility list is what drives the tutor.com. So students that are appearing on that list get tutor.com support. So that is one of the ways we're helping get that number back down and because of distance learning. So.
And so the list will be run again at the very beginning of April. So in 2 weeks we'll have an updated list.
And that'll probably get reported on April board also, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. All right. Are there any other discussionary points?
I'm just wondering, when is a good time to talk about what's going to be happening the next 2 or 3 weeks before school starts? Is this the appropriate time or some other time? I just, obviously there was some confusion with the parents. I'm on the board and a parent, and I'm still not exactly sure everything that's going on. And especially, so let's start with this week. What's happening with training, for instance? I mean, I know I'm up for an hour, but what's happening? What's going on?
So for this week, for training, we actually had our first training today. Jessie Nelson talked to the staff for she gave a presentation. It was a good, solid question and answer for 2 hours, mostly related to going to school, coming home. How do you relieve that pressure, that tension about, I don't want, if I have an exposure at school, how do I not bring it home? So a lot of the things that she encountered and has done to mitigate those issues at home. and I think she did a very good job of addressing a lot of concerns. I think after it was done, the staff felt much more at ease. I'm not saying they're comfortable with coming to campus, but much more at ease, and a lot of the fears and anxieties were lessened. So that was a good portion of today. Then we talked about for the staff, the reporting forms that are due when they come on campus and then when they leave campus, and that's all part of the contact tracing portion. Tomorrow we will be talking while we have our student support meeting, where some of the ineligibility students will be talked about. We go into a lot of the protocols and the procedures that staff will be doing and looking at and working with while on campus. Then there is, some substitution procedure reviews that will be gone over in the afternoon. Most of the afternoons for the staff are set aside for being available if they have questions to come in and ask questions, getting their classrooms ready, getting acclimated really back on the campus. Then on the 18th, we're going to do a tech test basically to see what our capabilities are on campus. And then we'll do a hybrid learning question and answer. Then we have there's a couple of task force meeting just before lunch. On Friday, we have a number of training set up. Most of it's all tech related. There's some Google training that Jenna Babb, one of the staff members, is going to conduct, and then a lot of tech questioning and answers with Justin. And then in the afternoon, we'll be consumed with a lot of classroom monitoring training of our new classroom monitors.
Okay.
Well, and Rob, I think on page, also just for reference, page 116, he has just this week's schedule. You probably read it, you just didn't notice it. This week's schedule. And then also, I think further on asked about, everything else, 22nd on.
Yeah, no, I saw the schedule, but I just didn't know. I mean, it just seems a little light for taking 4 days off of education. And so I just wanted to know if there were some updates there or what was going on. I mean, I just want the parents to know that the teachers are fully trained and prepared and comfortable, and it was worth taking a couple more days of our children's education away. So, I mean, that's up to everybody individual to base that. I don't know if Jennifer and Dan want to say anything. I'm just asking the question. So
it's a good one. You should too.
Yeah,
That's
good question. Yeah.
So teachers, do you feel like this is going to be well worth it? Is that we're taking the right stuff off of school, or parents, do you feel, I mean, again, this is just.
Yeah. Well, I could speak if I feel I'm really ready because I've plugged in and plugged out of school on and off over a year. I've gone to school, I plugged in school, I've come home, I've been quarantined, I've been this and that. But some teachers haven't been on campus for a year. So I think that's another aspect of it. So they might take more time to come into. We also haven't had procedures and protocols that we understand or have been given. So that's going to take some time to get training and working through for me. That's my part. It's like, how do we do it? What are we doing? What's lunch look like? There's barriers being put up. So that's me. But I think for me, I probably would have needed less time, but I've also been in and out of school all the time. I could plug in, I could virtually teach in my backyard if I had Wi-Fi, I feel.
So are we addressing the 1 and 2 students per room? Is that being talked about? One of the parents asked us if kids could come 4 days a week because of that. Is that being addressed?
Yeah, so, yeah, well, I guess I can speak a little bit to that. So we have looked at the numbers as far as how we could get students on campus and communicate with parents, especially that, they will have a class or two where there may be the only student in the classroom. That is a possibility, especially in the high school, not as much at the middle school level. The part of the restrictions with that is we do have other classes then where that student may be where they're in a bigger class. So to combine or to do a full in-person for a high school course versus a middle school, it may work for one class, but it won't work for all the classes during the day. So we really have to leave some room in there. The other part of that is we will have some transitioning of students that will need to move to a different class based on their individual circumstances as they come back on campus. So we don't want to make it so tight where we don't have any flexibility to do any movement with students.
Yep, I mean.
And I will say like 2 things. One is unrelated. when it came to the eligibility won't be run until May 1st. That's the next date. But I have it in the notes as May 1st, and not in April. So I did correct that. And then secondly, I think for myself, my only concern when it comes to some of the tech trainings is that it isn't just repeating things that we've been doing all year.
Right.
We need tech training that's focused on hybrid learning and how to do hybrid or how to do partial in-person learning in the classroom. And your Q&A is going to be super invaluable. Thank you for giving your time. I very much appreciate it. But when it comes to tech, we've been using it all year. So my only concern when it comes to use of time is if we're taking time to have PD about technology, that it's focused on partial in-person like applications. Because if it's just reviewing what I'm already doing, then I tend to zone out just a little bit. I admit it. Right. But if it's about how to take those tools and apply them differently to partial in-person, then I am all on board and I'm very excited.
And Rob, I signed up for that orientation session for a couple of reasons. One was the main reason, honestly, is for myself. You know, my kids are probably saying I'm fine, but I wanted to see how the procedures are going to work, and I wanted to see it for myself. You know, where the kids are going to be going and all of that. And that's as a parent, not necessarily as a board. But I would encourage other parents to do the same if you haven't already signed up and you have the luxury of being able to take some time off to go do that, right? I mean, I would encourage you to do that to kind of set your mind at ease. I know there's going to be a lot of transition and things the kids will have to adjust to and in the following week when they actually show up for school, but at least kind of going in and seeing it's not so scary as it maybe seems from afar, right? So I'll just a plug for that orientation session, I think is on the 26th of March. So at least mine is.
Very good. Thank you. I didn't want to derail anything. I just didn't know much about it and I didn't know if we were going to talk about it. So, and since parents have brought up some of those concerns, I wanted to address.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Any other discussion with the director's report?
One more comment on the double single students and whatnot. Just curious, because there may be one in the classroom, but they will be zooming in to others, right? The rest of the class will be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're still going to be full. They're still going to be part of that class. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess. So I totally get the concern. Like my son is in Boy Scouts and we always have 2 deep, right? So you can't have an adult and a child together. You need another one, you know, to make it, you know, at least 3 people. And so in this case, although they would be virtual, right? So you'd have a teacher and a student together, and then you would have the other class could be, but they would be virtual.
Right. Right.
So it's almost there. But.
The class is still going to occur as it normally would with all the people there. It's just you're going to do it in 2 locations at this point.
Yeah.
It's either at home or in school.
Okay.
Do the classes continue through the whole period? Because I thought sometimes they ended early. So are you going to make sure that they're always on Zoom for the whole period? Just for that safety.
So I'm not quite sure what you're getting at, Jennifer, but the classroom teacher may have some time where it's an asynchronous scenario, or they have like 20 minutes of work time at the end of the hour. So if that's the case, the classroom teacher is still going to be available for the student. I'm not sure, are you referring to, you know, if there's a student in school in a classroom and the teacher's in there alone with them, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. Yeah.
So
I was going to say, I think the easiest way to do that is if the students leave the Zoom, that's fine, but the teacher can leave their Zoom on, so then you would still have audio visual and they're recorded. That's rather than trying to bring people in for the last half hour of work time, you know what I mean? Just shuffling things around when they didn't need to. That was my intent, was just to leave, and I would leave it on anyway in case somebody had a question and wanted to pop back in. So that's kind of what I was thinking. I don't know, John, would that be?
Yeah, that
closer?
If we're into that kind of a scenario where a teacher's in there, the easiest thing is, yes, leave, because almost all the classes are recorded on Zoom anyway. So the teacher would just lead that on. I guess I liken that it wouldn't be any different than a teacher having a student come into work before school or something like that. They're still going to be, they're working one-on-one with the student anyway. I don't see that being a big issue because we do have teachers doing that, and the majority of those classroom doors are all going to be open because that increases the ventilation system, and it's a layer of security or safety for everybody involved.
Everyone good? Any other comments? All right, I'm going to move on to Paula then. Paula, do you have a student rep update?
I don't have any other.
Yeah, we've been out for a while. Okay, I understand. All right, cool. All right, we'll move on to the reports for the board committees and task force. As you remember, we'll, except for the finance, go through each. I'll name them, and then if you have questions for them, please do ask questions. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next committee until we get to approval of financials at the bottom. So I'll start with Ms. Krakowski and academics. Are there any questions for academics?
Can you just, when we talk about this curriculum review cycle, particularly math, for instance, talk to me about when they say AP classes need updating, there are questions, concerns about that. Why is the cycle being held back or not, or what's going on there?
So the curriculum review cycle is something that, we have to do by policy. We have to have a system set up for curriculum review. And so what we made was a staggered and tiered system of review, a 6-year cycle. So 1 year you're researching, the next year you're starting implementation, or you're like ordering the supplies and implementing, and then review, and then you reassess again. And it is helpful to allow us to have time to see how curriculum shakes out, and also because some of them, and I know this is very true for science, but John, you might have to correct me about the math curriculum because I'm not as familiar with that one, but there are sometimes subscriptions that are for certain years, like 6 years or 5 years. And I think the math I don't know what its number is, but I'm pretty sure it's a multi-year renewal. And so then it gives a chance to kind of time those. What we were looking at is there was departments who found out that certain things were going to expire that they did not know when they were out of their year for purchase. And there were other departments who hadn't had a chance to really do any of their review because last year's data was kind of not really the curriculum review that you'd want to do in your implementation. So we took it and took the same 6-year concept, but just adjusted who was where, because different people were at different times. Like social studies, our new standards draft comes out in May, the first review standards of our new one. So ours adjusted so that when we order things, it's under the new standards. And those new curriculum materials that would be associated with new standards for the next 10 years. And then for the AP classes, the concern about AP classes, it's unfortunate, but it still needs to be part of their review cycle. So sometimes in AP class, AP will have revisions and they redo parts of what they call their CED, which is their curriculum education document. And then you have to supplement. I have some things I supplement because my books are not the newest edition under the current CED, but they're $149 a piece. So I'm definitely not going to be able to just buy them in a given year. And by staggering it, it helps us budget-wise so that you're not having like a giant balloon year where everybody's ordering curriculum and we go half bankrupt. So we stagger them out like that. With the exception of new classes, if somebody's got a new class they're offering, yeah, they can order the things that they need for their new class, but then thereafter, they're part of their department review cycle. There's a couple of them that are a little bit unique, and I'm not quite sure. I think based on who's teaching it, the computer science AP will be under the math curriculum review, because computer science AP doesn't have it in math or science. It is its own category because it's both. But since Mr. Langseth is the teacher for it, I'm figuring that it's probably going to be under the math curriculum review cycle, like timing. So we just adjust a few of those as needed.
All right. Well, my particular concern is more as a parent and board member, but the calculus was a mess this year. The curriculum significantly needs to be looked at, and my daughter will be taking AP calculus next year. So I don't really want that to be pushed off. I know they've been working hard at moving from one curriculum to another, but it was a disaster this year as far as I'm concerned as a math professor. So I just want to encourage them, and I'm available to help, but it is got to be looked at. It can't be ignored.
Okay. I will add that in on our agenda, just as to how if there's more data or how it is that we can make the review of current curriculum more effective. Because just, you know, how do we do the review? When it's implemented, what is the process of reviewing its efficacy?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other questions for academics? All right, I'll head into annual fund with Adam. Does anyone have any questions for Adam? Lots of headphones I'm seeing. There we go. A lot of headphone purchases, which is great. Any questions for communications for Ms. Burgraff? All right. Any questions for me on personnel? School expansion for Mr. Ellingston. Any questions for school expansion? We did get a load. I will say, Dan, I haven't looked through your stuff yet, so maybe that'll be a next. Maybe we can.
And I would just tell the community, I didn't get them in the meeting notes, but it is out on the website. So if you click on expansion boards, you'll see the notes there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
I have a question on it.
Yes.
Is school expansion going to include virtual, like a virtual academy?
So we talked a little bit about that last board meeting. I think we haven't really, right now we're focused on bringing in the developers, right? That's the current timeline that we're going through, but we are actually asking that question to the developers too, just to see, you know, what's the current thought in terms of planning, because I think the next question is, do we need as much space, right, if we're able to? And we actually talked to the lawmakers about that very question too, and we said we're struggling with expansion, and right now we're extremely busy, right, with COVID, and you can list it, right? And now we're also doing expansion, not because we want to, but we feel we're forced to because we need revenue to match up with our expenses. And so we said, maybe this online learning actually would probably had a better headway, John, at those discussions with the legislators, saying you could really open up some opportunities here for us if you allowed us some flexibility. And their response was, they get it, they understand, and they're actually having some more discussions about that hadn't been happening in the past. That was my takeaway. So it almost makes more sense. Like the expansion definitely would be impacted by it for sure. If we don't need the actual people on site, then maybe we can get by with our current site or some small little modifications. So yes, but almost not directly. I think right now in the process, we're going down what would it cost to expand to accommodate the number of students we think we need for 5-10 years out. Does that make sense? So, but I think we do need some changes in legislature to allow, because right now you're either one or the other, and we can't do this hybrid. I think not. We have to be online or we have to be in brick and mortar. That's my understanding, and unless I misunderstood, John, I think that's correct, right?
So is there anything we could do as a board to work on that? It just seems like other school districts are moving toward virtual learning academies.
I think if I understand correctly, they're losing it, right? They're losing students to a virtual academy. So that means that school won't get the credit for that student. The virtual academy would get the credit for that student.
Right. So they're gaining students from other districts, which I think we could do too.
So we're having a teacher task force on one of the days for online learning. So I'm heading that up based on the conversation we had at a meeting a little while ago. So we're just going to meet and talk about it. There's forms to fill out. I don't know anything about you have to be one or the other. I can say that my home district, they, like Jennifer was saying, they're going to try and attempt to offer both moving forward. And I've heard the same thing about 833, I believe. And I think other districts out there. So I'm not making promises. We're going to look at it. We're going to see what it takes to complete paperwork and see if it's worth it. I don't know if any of that will happen because honestly, I don't know how busy we're going to be coming up here. So we're going to meet, we're going to talk about what it takes. So hopefully I can have more information for you soon.
All right, thank you, Maggie. Anything with policy in Ms. Kurkowski? All right. Cody, do you want to move the financial item 9? I think you're
Cody,
muted.
you're muted.
Am I not? Okay. We have the financials to approve, and then we only had our meeting yesterday, and Carrie told me to put the meeting minutes for yesterday into next month's packet. So there's no minutes there. So the financials are as presented. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, should we go ahead and move to approve them first and then have discussion, or of item 9?
Yeah, we can. I'll move to approve the financials.
I'll second. Annie Cardenas. Cody first, Annie Cardenas second. Okay, now discussion. Well, I do have a question, and it's been one of, you know me. Cody, you did too good of a job training me how to read those darn things.
Okay.
So this has been, again, I think I've mentioned it before, but now I kind of wonder. There was on page 50, lawn care again. We're back to lawn care. That is every month, it adds up to $52,140 a year. It's $4,345 a month. And I'm telling you, in normal times, we look like crud. Our building is not weeded. It is not taken care of, and snow removal. So I'm just wondering if there's a way maybe we can think about rebidding that out, or I just think that's an exorbitant amount of money for not a really good upkeep of our facility. I don't know, John. I asked it. I'm thinking it. You could tell me to go pound sand.
Well, the lawn care is, it's Hanson's Lawn Care. That is all directly related to snowfall. It has nothing to do right now with the lawn care. It's all snow removal, salt, sanding, that kind of thing. So if we have a lot of snow, that's gonna be high. When we get into the summer months, it's a much more reduced rate because it's a standard rate, and it's only basically for lawn, grass cutting and trimming. So you're going to see that number is going to be changed. It's high right now because of all the snow removal that we had and all the ice that, and the salting. So you're going to see that number much higher in the winter months. And we actually went out and bid that out last year. And this particular company came in with the lowest bid as far as snow removal, and really that's most people can cut grass. The snow removal is the part that's the big issue.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was like a standard monthly fee.
No,
so I
no,
see. So
no,
it's fluctuating.
no.
All right,
It's
all.
per snow. Yep.
Okay, that's it. Are there any other questions on financials? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and roll call vote to approve item 9, financials. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes, sorry, I'm having technical
not Jennifer. See, aren't you proud of me? Adam Barth,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas. Yes, that's all yeses. Motion carries. All right, I'd like to move to approve item 10, consent agenda. Do I have a second?
This is Adam.
This
I'll
is Dan.
second.
Go ahead, Adam.
All right. Is there any discussion on this? Yes, question, Michelle.
Sorry, I was typing. For the consent agenda, policy 616 should be removed.
Oh, should it? Okay.
We had that as consent agenda in October.
Oh,
so we've already done the annual review.
Okay, I'm sorry. I went and looked on it online. I want to say, I thought it said 2020 was the last time it was amended.
2019.
Okay, so but how come if we did it last fall, it doesn't say 20?
No, we did it this October.
Sorry. Okay, so
I'll really quick double check again, but
No,
I'm
you're probably right.
pretty sure.
So should we move it out? How do we do this again? Okay, Rob, you're my helper here. We take it out of the consent agenda, or do we just remove it? Is Rob there? Gina, somebody help me with this. When we have a 10A needs to be removed from the consent agenda, how does that work again? Do I just?
I think you need to motion to revise.
Okay, I would like
And
to
then we
motion.
approve that motion to revise it, and then we approve the consent
Okay.
agenda as is.
I'd like to motion to revise the consent agenda by removing 10A, policy 616, school district accountability
I
policy.
second it.
Okay. And I'll do a roll call vote on that, and then we'll revote. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Krakowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. It's all yeses. Motion carries. All right, now I would like to motion to approve.
You've already got the motion.
Oh, then
So
I
we
just,
adjusted that motion inside your motion, and now we can approve the.
okay, now I'd like to approve the consent agenda. And we have a first and second, so I just roll call vote, correct, Rob?
Yeah,
Thank
if
you.
there's no more discussion.
Thank you. If there's any more, is there any more discussion? All right. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Krakowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. It's all yeses. Consent agenda approved, carries. All right, 11A, discuss and approve postpone indefinitely 2020-2021 strategic plan. I would like to move item 11A. Do I have a second?
This is Gina. I'll second.
All right. So I'm going to just talk because I've been in conversation with Dawn. As you know, John and I set this back in July of 2020. Nowhere in our head did we realize what we were up against. Nowhere in our head did we realize we would have 5 meetings in 5 weeks, 3 special meetings in 10 days. It's just been hard. And so when I asked him about postponing this for this year indefinitely, Don was more than gracious to say that he would love to get together with us to actually do this proper and hopefully in person in the summer together, and that we would be able to be together to go through this on maybe one day, a retreat day, and move through this strategic plan. So that's what this is setting up for, is to postpone it indefinitely for this year, and hopefully new board put goal for next year would be that we continue on with our strategic plan with Don. So any other discussion points on that? All right, I'm going to go ahead and roll call approval of that. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Krakowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. As all yeses, motion carries. Right? Item 11B, discuss and approve contract templates. Okay, so I guess I probably didn't word that the best, John, but we'll go ahead and I'd like to motion to approve last year's contract for the 2021-2022 school year. Do I have a second?
This is Maggie. I will second.
Is there any discussion points on that?
So
All
can
right.
you just make it clear to us what, I mean, you said the teachers voted 90% to take it. So just a real short snapshot. What does that mean?
Yeah, John, could you recap what you did in workshop for the people out there?
Yeah, so basically, the contract template that was presented to the board last meeting from legal counsel, I presented that option to all the staff members, broken down by group that they had recommended. They had, if you recall, they had 3 templates recommended: one for teachers, one for hourly, and one for administrators. So those templates were sent out. We did a survey to find out what everyone's preference was as far as which contract they would prefer to see this year. This year being for the upcoming school year when they're offered a contract. And 94% of the teachers said they would prefer to do the template that they are used to seeing that we use this year. 90% of the hourly staff said they wanted to do the same thing, and 100% of the administrative staff said they wanted to stay with that same template. So the overall, 93% of your entire staff wants to stay with the current template for the upcoming school year if they're offered a contract.
Is that good, Rob? Did you get your answer, your question? All right. Any other discussion points on that? All right, I will roll call approval. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Krakowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. It is all yeses, motion carries. All right. We're going to enter into our items for discussion and decision. Item 12A, would somebody like to approve Board of Director election ballot and timeline? Would like to move it?
This is Adam, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Cody will second.
Okay. So discuss, and I'll leave it to Adam to open it up for the discussion.
So I had received this afternoon a short video from Justin that kind of went over what the ballot's going to look like. Are there any questions from that video? Okay, so the current proposal is just to open up voting on the 19th, this coming Friday, and voting will then close on the 9th of April.
So Adam, I had a question just on there was no community members. So how do we do that when, I know this has been an issue in the past sometimes with community members, but how do we go about that? And do we reopen, how's that process? I wasn't clear on that process.
So what is available right now is and this holds true for all 3 seats that are available. There is a write-in option. And if there is a person who is written in and they receive the most votes, then they can be offered the seat. If there are no write-in individuals, then the board would just need to continue soliciting for someone to fill that seat, and then the board, as it is comprised, would then do a special appointment for that seat for the remainder of the term.
Okay, gotcha. And then when you were talking about the board updates, I read the notes, or I think it was on the notes or video that it would be included in the board, the update that Dan and I usually do. And is it multiple? So tell me how that looks, since Dan and I kind of were part of that piece.
So there are 3 solicitation things that the committee recommends. The first is on the current board page where we can view the nomination process and the current schedule of events, putting a link on that page to go and vote. The second is to have on the rolling banner on the MSA homepage, something there to let people know that voting is open. The third is, as you just mentioned, Annie, the communication that will go out from you and Dan that just says, hey, go vote, and then can reference the existing page.
And should we also include in that there's a community member seat you may write in just to make sure that people understand that
whatever you want to communicate is up to you.
I think that's good. Okay, thanks. So Dan, we'll definitely have to include that. Sounds great.
Adam, may I confirm that the voting opens on March 19th and closes on April 9th?
Yes, that I believe is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Terrific. You all did such a great streamlined job, the committee. Thank you, because we're revisiting online again, and I'm just, all the security measures Justin had in the presentations and how he can't even dink around with it and how he's protected. I just really appreciate the thought that went into this process. I really am. So any other discussions before we go to approve this? All right.
Just a quick comment. There was only one teacher, is that right?
One teacher, 2 parents, and 0 community members.
And it's not, I mean, it's a volunteer job, maybe thankless job, right? But it's nice to have a couple of people just, and I don't know, I think I saw a note with the question, do we want to push it out a little more or something? But it sounds like right now we're keeping with the current timing. People can do a write-in, right, Adam?
Yes, the board can definitely say, let's not open the voting just yet and continue and reopen nominations. I don't think that is going to yield any additional nominations.
Hopefully a community member, but
that would be hopeful, but at this point we'd be reliant on the write-in, which I think is going to yield the same effect as any nominations that would trickle in over the next week, 2 weeks, whatever.
I think we all scared him this year, board of directors, as we set our 5 meetings in 5 weeks. It's not that bad out there, community people. Okay. Any other discussion items? All right. I'm going to go ahead and roll call vote. Dan Ellingston.
Yes.
Cody Schneid.
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski.
Yes.
Gina Albers.
Yes.
Adam Bartz.
Yes.
Robert Kruger.
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle.
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff.
Yes.
Annie Cardenas. Yes. It is all yeses. Motion carries. All right. We are going to, I will move item 12B, discuss and approve the board of director process and document for director evaluation. Do I have a second?
This is Rob, I'll second.
Okay. And any further discussion? We did this for you out in virtual land. If you didn't catch this during our workshop, we did this. So is there any other discussion board on this other than what we had in workshop?
Do we have in minutes based on the workshop what all the dates are?
Oh, that's a good point. Boy, Michelle.
I do, but I can repeat them to you for confirmation.
Because we
Yes,
technically
let's do
should
that.
vote on that, I think.
That's beautiful. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I will copy and paste this below in a moment, but what I have is, so because March 23rd is the date it's discussed, so we have, the goal is to receive individual board evals by, I have by tomorrow, like just in case. Is that okay? That we'll receive them by the 15th, or sorry, the 17th? Okay.
Yep.
Then that they are due by midnight on the 19th. Aggregated results will be shared by Sunday the 21st.
At noon.
Yes.
Okay, that's perfect. Any other discussion items? All right. Well, then I shall roll call vote for that item. Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski.
Yes.
Tina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas. Yes. All right, that's all yeses. Motion carries. All right, we are down to item 12C. Discuss resolution 10920 and restating Judy Seeberger to BOD. Okay, so I did receive a letter from Judy that I'd like to read out loud. She's asked me to read this, so I'd like to read it. To MSA Board of Directors from Judy Seeberger. This was dated today. I received it right before workshop. I have a prior commitment tonight that prevents me from attending tonight's meeting. I would ask that this be read during the part of tonight's meeting that addresses my board return to the board. I have returned from my leave of absence effective yesterday as a teacher on special assignment. I enthusiastically accepted this retooling of my position as a teacher at MSA because Mr. Gorecki and I felt it was the best way to help support the school as we progress towards in-person learning, and because and would cause the least disruptions to the students. My special assignment involves helping with COVID data, collecting and contact tracing, assessing and monitoring students and staff who are ill, and being especially a floater teacher, willing to act as an emergency sub or be the licensed teacher in the room if the actual teacher needs to leave for any reason. Today, I announced to the staff that I was available for any and all of these purposes and was excited to get back into the swing of MSA and fill in whatever and however I was needed. I was also thrilled to be able to resume my duties as a board member. When my decision to return was finalized, the board chair was advised I'd be resuming my duties at tonight's board workshop and meeting. The board chair, however, has taken the position once again that I am ineligible to serve on the board. I wish the board to know that the decision to take a leave of absence from the board was not my decision. Rather, the board chair took the position that my FMLA leave of absence for my teaching duties at the school so that I could be with my son's full-time personal teacher during distance learning made me ineligible to serve on the board. I disputed that determination, but acquiesced so that I would not disrupt board business. I also dispute the board's chair determination that as a teacher on special assignment, I am not a teacher at MSA. I'm a licensed teacher in the state of Minnesota working as a teacher at MSA. I'm a 1.0 FTE and will be using my skills and licensure to help support students and staff as we finish out this academic year. If the board takes the position that I am not a teacher and therefore ineligible to serve, then I will have no choice but to limit my involvement at MSA for the remainder of the year. I will not act as an emergency sub. I will not step in for a teacher who needs to leave the classroom in order to use the restroom or get something from the office. I will do nothing that implicates any of my skills as a licensure as a teacher, and this defeats the whole purpose of me returning to MSA. This year has been hard enough on teachers and staff as it is. It was my hope that I could be helpful and useful asset to the school to do anything that needs to be done to support students and staff. I continue to want to do that, and the best way to support students and staff is to be an on-call teacher who can step in and do whatever needs to be done. That is what I intended to do, and this is what I wanted to do. I am baffled that the board chair seeks to prevent me from doing this. I would urge the board of directors to recognize that I'm still a teacher at MSA. I will remain willing and able to serve on the board and have been all along. The board chair, however, has spent thousands of dollars of the school's money on legal fees to keep me from serving on the board. You ask yourself why this might be and examine the money spent to wrongfully keep me from serving my elected position. I object to these continued efforts to prevent me from serving in my position on the MSA Board of Directors and ask that the board recognize that I remain a teacher at MSA and that I continue to be eligible to serve on the board. All right, and I feel I need, since the laundry's out there, a response because it's about me. I, first of all, am not responsible for this, and I don't know what to do. I've been put in a board position. This is exactly how this went when I talked to Jim about this, our attorney. I had 3 items to discuss with him towards the end of this week. My spring break, I spent a lot of time with board work, unfortunately, that's what happens. And it started with, after my other couple things I was dealing with, and I said, okay, I don't know how to seat and unseat a teacher on leave. It's never been done. It's not precedent, right? No one could help me. Lisa didn't do it. Gina didn't do it. So I asked, how do I do it? And the first question was, when is this teacher coming back to their classes? I said, well, they're not coming back to their classes. They're coming back as a teacher of leave, which is now, I guess a TOSA is the word, and as a COVID-19 liaison. And the first thing out of the mouth was, well, is this a teaching position? I said, I don't know. We both went to the website at that point to look at the description, and the first thing out of the mouth was, this is not, it doesn't seem like a teaching position, and you cannot have a teacher on the board. The only staff members that can be actually employed or on the board at a charter school is a teacher. The only staff of all of MSA that can be on the board is a teacher, and a TOSA position can mean a lot of things. You rattle off things like QComp or whatever. And my, immediately, gastrointestinal stuff, it's been rough, people. I mean, I didn't want to be in this position. It almost feels like we're in the same position because I didn't ask to do this, and this has changed. This is not coming back to classes. This is not easy. This is actually, he basically told me that this has to be legally seated as a teacher, and that you have to have a teaching license position to be deemed as a teacher. And I sent all of that to you, board members, with that. Also in the previous, and then to make an allegation in public, she asked me to read this, that I did this on purpose, that I purposely actually made this up and spent thousands of dollars. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for Jim to ask me, is this a teaching position? This is something we can't do. I don't know board law. And it was a flippant thing saying, well, how do I unseat? How do I seat? And in the first part of this also, what happened, again, because Judy's, if we're going to talk about it, we're going to talk about it. The truth is ugly sometimes. And I feel very, very much that part of John's goals it's one of his goals is to encourage a culture of inclusivity among staff and students, continue to work towards improving the school's culture and climate, such that all staff and students feel welcome and valued and appreciated. This is not my choice. I didn't ask for this to be looking different, that it not comply with board laws. This is all about board laws. And this is why I'm in this, and I'm the bearer of bad news. And unfortunately, I'm doing it. I've been publicly, I feel, with this letter, accused of purposely doing this. It's not about being purposely doing this. The other thing is, again, personal, this is my own data privacy. She shared why she left. When I came back here from California in 2009, I took a job at Park High. I was a teacher at Park High, and my daughter was not doing well. So much so that I was afraid I'd be driving home one day with her swinging from the rafters. I told Judy this after she said, I can't, it's the status, it's a board thing. It's the law. I can't argue against the law. I hate even being the person to have to do this. And I told Judy, listen, I know how you feel. The first time this happened, I had to back out of my teaching contract that year. I had to back out because I thought my daughter would be hanging from the rafters. So I understand. But again, I've been publicly told that I'm doing this on purpose. So you make your case, you do whatever you want. I sent you what Jim said because he was very upset that I was getting continual emails today about this and this and this and this. And I'm like, this is the law. I didn't make up the law. I don't make up board laws. I am the bearer of bad news. It's almost like Judy and I both aren't at fault here, but yet I feel publicly. So I just ask that, John, you please help and mitigate this situation, because it's very sad that I'm sitting in a board chair position where I have to deliver this kind of news, because this is what I'm being told. I would like further discussion with anybody else. I won't say anything more. You've seen the advice of the attorney not to do this because it's not legal.
John, do you have any more information about why she threatened to do nothing if she's not on the board? That doesn't make any sense to me. If somebody wants to help students, they help students regardless if they're sitting on the board or not. So why would somebody threaten like that? What's going on here?
I don't know if I can really address that because I haven't had in-depth conversations with Judy about this. I got the same letter the same time that Annie did, so I don't know if I can address what there's. The only thing I would say is there's a long history between the board chair and Ms. Seeberger, and I guess that's about all I can share with you. There's a long history between the two of them. I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not, go ahead, Adam.
Well, I don't know if it was all right if I go, but my thought is, Yanni, I'm sorry, hey, sounds like it's gotten personal, and Judy's not here to say the other side. So I would like to kind of, and I get it, personal things are difficult, especially on Zoom and like the way we're doing it here. But so my empathy goes out for this. But if we look at just the facts and we take names away and we take history away, it seems like, John, we have a situation where somebody really wants to be in the teacher position on the board, and I think that's awesome, but they're not given a teacher position right now. So to me, just from the outside, it seems cut and dry that they can't do it. This is my understanding of it, and everyone can vote how they want to vote on it. But I know Judy from before, so I'm not picking on her, and I'm not siding with you or against you, Annie. It's just more of what's the ruling here, right? I mean, we kind of have to follow the rule and not choose sides based on who we like or who we don't like, right? So John, is it fair to say this position does not require a teacher license? It wasn't posted as such, and so technically, although she has teacher credentials, she's doing a job for our school right now. That's not a teacher job.
The COVID position, coordinator position, is a position that does not require a teacher's license. A lot of the duties that we're asking her to do are different from other schools in that, we're asking her to do some sub work. It's not, that is not the bulk of the job to, be a substitute teacher. The bulk of the job is the COVID coordinator. But there is a huge benefit to the students in having that person available to be able to be a teacher as well, but it's not a requirement.
Thanks.
Yeah, I guess.
Go ahead.
I guess, that's pretty much it. We don't have that as a requirement. We have that as a preference when it comes to the job description, that we would prefer to have somebody with the teacher's license because it gives us a lot more flexibility in a number of things that they can do then to help support teachers and the school, and in essence, students as well. But we have not made that a requirement for the job.
And where did the money come from for this position?
So we have COVID related expenses are covered with all the federal monies that we've been given.
And there's no stipulations on how that,
sorry.
go ahead. There's no stipulations on how that money needs.
No, this is an expense that would be covered under that, yes.
I cut out. I just wanted to clarify. So it's a TOSA position. Does that mean it has to be a teacher? I'm not sure if that's what was asked, but you said TOSA, which means teacher on special assignment. Yep. So does that mean it's you know what I mean? What's the definition for a TOSA position?
Well, there's a lot of different scenarios where a TOSA is utilized. It's usually the use of it is almost exclusively for a teacher. So somebody that's got a teaching license, they're typically given a teacher on special assignment. And
But this
then
position was
whatever
not posted as a TOSA, correct? This position was not posted as a TOSA?
No, the position is posted as a COVID coordinator. And we haven't had any applicants to this point. In fact, I don't anticipate getting any because two school districts that are fairly close to us have 19 openings for this type of. You're not going to find anybody that's going to meet the requirements that you'd like. So you're going to have to take somebody and hopefully craft them and utilize the experiences that they have to fill the position.
I did also tell her I was very grateful that because I think a month ago, we had study hall monitor and two office staff people doing the COVID room. So, I mean, I'm very grateful for it. I can't change, that, but, that's just I did send that note to her.
So is she saying she won't do the job at all? Like, I keep cutting out. I apologize. My internet's kind of wonky.
I interpreted the letter is if we're not recognizing that she can be on the board, she's not doing any teacher stuff. She's only doing the COVID liaison stuff. That's how I interpreted it. Does anyone else, is that what other people interpreted, or?
So John, now I'm really confused because what's the job description?
So the job description is, if you give me a minute, I can pull it up and read it to you.
That's the one still on the MSA website or not?
For the COVID, yeah, it's still, we don't post the job description on the website because it's too encumbered. It's just what's on the website is basically the highlights or the big picture items kind of thing. So you won't see all of the things that are on there.
Well, but my point is, though, I mean, if the expectation is the position fills in as a sub when needed, regardless if they're licensed or not, that's part of the job, then the person that was hired has to do that, or the person doesn't work at all, right? That they don't get to choose what jobs they're assigned if they accept a position based on the job description. So that needs to be clarified for me.
So it's covered under section 3 of the job description, on-campus support. I won't read through a lot of it is COVID, and the last couple of bullets, provide classroom teacher breaks as requested, fill in as a substitute teacher for classrooms when needed.
So that was what the contract was signed for. So that needs to be done, or that's a breach of contract, correct?
Yeah, you could, it says as requested or when needed. So yeah. It would be a breach of contract if it was asked or requested and then she said no, then it would become, then it would become a disciplinary action.
So my question is, those 2 bullet points, in order for her to fill in as a sub or as a classroom monitor, does she have to be a licensed teacher?
Yes.
Are normal subs, like if a day sub, are they licensed teachers?
Yes. Yep. They have to be a licensed teacher. They can't.
And monitors too, John. So your monitor postings.
Monitors are different. Monitors do not have to, because a monitor is being supervised by the classroom teacher who is licensed. So you have to have a licensed teacher in every classroom. For a lot of it is because of liability issues, because a licensed teacher has been through training and knows how to, or has been trained in how to handle students, whereas somebody like a monitor has not had any of that formal training. So whenever you have a classroom that is unsupervised, the school is at a large liability issue. So that's why you always want to have a licensed teacher in the classroom with students.
All right, well, I definitely do apologize. I had spoken with the chair that I needed to leave our meeting tonight at 7:30, but just to make sure that I can, check in and see, I think at one of the things that we do need to do looking at the position is, I agree with you, Rob, that following through with it as written is definitely really, really important. But I think that we should follow the advice of our council and seek the MDE guidance, just again, to make sure that we are crossing all T's, dotting all I's, just so that we know for sure. I don't think does it take a lot to ask them to review a description to see if it complies with TOSA assignment guidelines?
Well, it's my understanding from Jim that TOSA is something people say. It doesn't mean their teachers are given things that are not teaching licensed that are TOSAs. Like they'll do like a 40% TOSA that doesn't require a license, and then 60% they teach. So it's the TOSA unlicensed part. So I actually was going to ask this of if somebody would be willing to actually call MDE. I think at this point we've established the fact it probably shouldn't be me. If somebody would like to call and actually check one of the for this, and we can put it on our agenda next month and discuss it further, because I think we do. That's one of his recommendations, was that we call, gosh, where's mine? Look, I got 5 pages in front of me. You can understand my life right now. And my head chaos. You just know I love reading all this stuff. So his thing is that somebody should call the Department of Ed or the Professional Education License and Standard Board to determine whether this is is requiring a teaching license. So would anybody be willing to do that? And then we can schedule that as part of our discussion of possible receipt for April board meeting. And then we would know. We'd follow his advice. Somebody's got to step up, because this isn't
As for department head, I am also not comfortable making that call.
Oh, that's true. I agree, Maggie. I understand conflict. I mean, we both feel probably weird, all weird about this. Yeah.
So
go ahead, Dan.
I was just gonna say, I like the idea of having it not be a teacher, because you guys are anyway, and then it becomes personal again. But then at the same time, like I was thinking, okay, I could do it, but then I volunteer I'm like a fish out of water talking to MDE. This is not my language. So I feel like, what am I going to be able to contribute? Tell me otherwise. I can make a phone call, that I can do, but carry on a conversation about license or this or that, I feel out of my element a little bit. Yeah. I'm listening to you guys talking different language. Go ahead.
So Pelsby is the agency that's going to handle all the licensing. I happen to have several contacts at Pelsby. So, I mean, it wouldn't take very much for me to send the job description in with some background information and have them review it.
John, I personally don't. I don't feel comfortable.
And they can craft a document to send back to the board to be read.
I feel uncomfortable just myself because of issues that haven't been resolved at your level. I'm just going to be clear with that. I don't have to get into details. I feel this is definitely a board situation, seating and unseating. So if John could guide one of you that are uncomfortable, that would be wonderful. But I don't think John should do it personally. I would like somebody to do it. And John, you can be a very great resource for that. But I don't feel comfortable personally with that.
What if John and I do it, Annie? What do you think?
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so
he's
John,
got his resource.
You and I get together and figure out a good way to go forward. Yep. Okay.
So we'll go ahead and I will make sure that it gets on the agenda for April, and we can discuss and seat or not seat at that point. Okay, that sound good? I'd actually like to do a motion with that. This was really a discussion. Jim said we didn't have to make a decision, but I think I'd like to make a motion so that everyone has the same communication for that. So I would like to, if the board, if I messed something up, I'd like to motion for John Gorecki and Dan Ellingston to call Pelsby for Dan to call Professional Education's License and Standard Point Board to determine whether the COVID-19 coordinator position, as written on the website, is one of which a license is required by state, for review and discussion on the April, what's the next board meeting? April what? Okay, help me out, people.
I have the 12th.
Is it the, I think it's further than the 12th. Is it the 12th?
No, it's April 19th.
April 19th.
Whoops.
Thank you. April 19th, 2021 board discussion. Does that make sense? Should I tweak it at all? Is that right? All right. All right. Thank you so much.
So I can second the motion, right?
Second that motion? All right.
Sure.
Do we have any more discussion points before I roll call that vote? Dan Ellingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Kurkowski,
Yes.
Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas, yes. That's all yeses. Motion carries. All right. A little more pleasant one. Okay, let's get to 3D. I do have my summary here and I have it on all these multicolors. All right, here we go. So at this point, I will read my summary of board's March 4th, 2021 closed meeting for evaluation of John Gorecki. On March 4th, 2021, a special meeting of the Board of Math and Science Academy, MSA, was held for the purpose of continuing Executive Director John Gorecki's mid-year evaluation. This constitutes a summary of the board's mid-year evaluation of Mr. Gorecki as required by open meeting law. During the evaluation, Mr. Gorecki raised concerns about the criteria upon which he was evaluated. Those concerns are the mid-year survey that the board utilizes is just one benchmark and 20% of the staff did not respond. Not many benchmarks to use as a reference, and this is a concern that the information is incomplete. Mr. Gorecki responded where that 75% standard for improvement came from. Industrial-wide 67% is set as a general acceptor marker. This would require improvement over 10%. This is a high benchmark. Mr. Gorecki is concerned about other factors that may skew the numbers that may not represent in the survey results. Mr. Gorecki is concerned about the validity of the question visible during the day, comments which appear to be from 2 years ago. The validity of question or visibility during the day, comments which appear to be from 2 years ago. In response, the board stated the 75% standard was intended to be a basis for looking for a bump in improvement. The board has been looking for Mr. Gorecki to step up to the challenges of a development plan. The evaluation process was approved last year. As a result, the board is following that process. Mr. Gorecki raised concern that the summary of the first part of his mid-year evaluation was read at a subsequent open meeting at the board. Mr. Gorecki recognized the requirement that a summary of the evaluation must be read at the next open meeting after evaluation regarding his professional development, but his concern is about what is included in the summary. In response, the board stated, the summary was read based upon recommendations from legal counsel to ensure compliance with the open meeting laws. In going forward, are there any ways to present information and context to the public? Mr. Gorecki raised concern that his integrity was being attacked with the question about hiring task force and procedures, that there is a great vocal group of more experienced teachers that the others are not voicing their concern. The board requested an update on the spring opening document and fundraising status. Mr. Gorecki responded stating that the spring plan will be set out to families this weekend, but question whether the spring plan requires board approval. The board asked whether the approval of the spring plan can occur on this consent agenda. In response, the board's inquiry about fundraising, Mr. Gregory replied, fundraising gap is difficult this year. MSA has pledged to do only one Fraser with Give to the Max. Lobbying efforts include a recent visit to meet with our legislators and a fundraising conference. This has the potential to increase the general funds. MSA also has received a grant of $10,000 and the building company has secured funds for the fiber optics. In the follow-up, the board wants to know why MSA is not at the level similar to other charter schools such as Nova Classical Academy or St. Croix Prep. All right, so that is that. And then, item number, where am I at? 12E, Board of Directors Student Representative Elections. This was a Michelle item she put on there and then knew if she was running late, she typed something up and Dan will read that type up. So thank you, Dan. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. So on behalf of Michelle, she's done some work here for the student BOD student representative. So I'm just going to kind of read through, so bear with me. So April 12th through the 16th will be the announcement for the BOD positions and deadlines. There'll be a blank candidate form that'll be posted on the MSA website. Then April 19th through the 23rd, the students that are interested, they'll have time to draft your candidate statements. So any parents out there, encourage your, son or daughter to run for these positions. And Paula can attest if anyone needs any questions, I'm sure. Has any questions. So then all statements must be emailed to Ms. Krakowski by April 23rd, 7 p.m. April 26th, all candidate statements are viewable on the MSA community through the website. April 29th is election day and advisory. So everyone all the students during advisory will fill out a Google form for their preferred candidates. And there's a note here that if you don't have an advisory, you'll get an email directly from Ms. Kowski. And then May 4th is the final, the board members and all the candidates will be notified of the results. So it looks like a nice process to get us a new student representative seated.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
And then the review of the monthly COVID evaluation. John had that in the packet. I don't know if there's any questions on that, John, or if you want to add to what you added to this packet for that.
No, I think Rob asked the questions about what's gone on that are transpired for this coming week. So I don't know if there's any other questions.
Are there any other questions?
The only other one, and I don't want to be a naysayer, I'm happy we're going down this path, but there is this talk of variants. And Minnesota was listed in national news as having some variants coming up. So, I mean, the plan is still we're going forward, and I'm supportive of that plan, but I guess we have to be mindful of these last things. We're getting really close with the vaccines and everything, but and I saw the note from you, John. I think it was an email or something, so I know you're aware of it, but just something we need to be mindful of, right?
Right, and I alluded to that on the last page, on page 117, the first bullet that's on there, that happens to be from Carver County, that came out actually last Thursday. Well, I'm sorry, not last Thursday, Thursday. Yeah, it was last Thursday. When the board, before the board packet went out, that MDE and MDH are highly watching Carver County extremely closely because the variant that's in that county has a potential of being, right now the science is showing it's 50% more transmittable in young teenagers than any of the other viruses that we've encountered. So, and this is just one variant. There's a number of other variants out there. So as we know, viruses mutate. And there is not a lot of data out there as far as the effectiveness of vaccines against the variants. Time will tell.
Okay. All right. That's a good question, Dan. Thank you. Are there any other questions for John? Okay. Well, you can see here, I don't have to read them all out. Future BOD meetings and workshop agenda. We've done contract stuff. So expansion, committee purpose statements, that's kind of our finishing up the year. We have a lot of, I think, school stuff going on. We'll probably put into workshop too to lighten our load a little bit. There's a lot of work to do ahead. You can see we have several dates coming up, and I think April just might be one of those months when we pass it that we can go ahead and go back to normal monthly meetings. Please make sure to cancel all strategic plans dates off your calendar, because those are no longer on here. And at this time, I would like to go ahead and motion to adjourn. I would like to move to adjourn. Do I have a second?
This is Adam. I will second.
All right, I will roll call vote. Dan Illingston,
Yes.
Cody Schneid,
Yes.
Michelle Krakowski. Oh, she's not here. So we want to put down, I make sure to say she's not present for this. Gina Albers,
Yes.
Adam Bartz,
Yes.
Robert Kruger,
Yes.
Jennifer Bartle,
Yes.
Maggie Burgraff,
Yes.
Annie Cardenas. Yes. It's all in favor. Yes. It is now 7:56. Have a nice evening, board. We'll see you next week, 5:30.
Right.